Okay, so Philip, nice to
Yep.
talk to you finally.
Yeah.
how is
Really.
how is your project doing?
Very good, actually. Um, Coding all the time. I think in my head I still have work till the end of the year. Yeah, I would really like to clone myself like 4 times so it gets done quicker.
Actually, I need 3 developers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe you can show a little bit of that today.
Yes, of course. Can show some of my work if you like.
Uh, okay,
Uh,
cool. Yeah,
I saw you had some kind of introduction last week, the meeting I missed. So yeah, that's still lacking me introducing myself and my project.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
well,
what
if
is
you
yeah?
like, I can
So go
start
go
with
on,
it.
introduce yourself. Yeah, we might not have a lot of people. I messaged Dart, but we'll see if he joins.
Yep. So, okay, let me see if this works. Bilge. So this should share my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Excellent, good. Okay, so let's see. I usually don't use Google Chrome. So the big project, Romans, you already know it. Though not in
A
its
little bit.
latest
Yeah.
version.
You probably
Yeah,
moved
it's
lots of features.
yeah. Well, it's uh, management system online for the outdoor industry, like canyoning tours, rafting tours, and yeah, the basic idea of it is getting work done as quickly as possible. Because in that outdoor business, you usually have like 3 months. It's June, July, August, and yeah, until mid-September, where there's really a lot of going on. So you need to work quickly because you just don't have time. So the let's say the heart of the project is the calendar page. Well, this sucks a bit. Not much demo data in my um,
One of the
in
amazing
my
things about your project you don't realize is that it's translated in German.
yeah. That's completely German,
Yeah.
as my 2 customers I have at the moment are German. So something you might like about this page is that it's a bit like CRUD, but different. Whenever you click on a record, so we have tours on the left side, the location of the tour, and then all the groups that book these tours and the guides that will guide that tour. And whenever you click a record, you can edit it right away. So yeah, whatever. And calendar reloads and the info I just edited is there. So it's a bit like CRUD, but adapted to what I need. So let's say this one is now coming with 3 persons. Yeah, well, these suck a bit. And yeah, just done quickly. What I also implemented, what's not out of the box, is auto saving. So whenever I do something in one of these inputs, you see the save button highlights, and on change, it just saves automatically. There's no save button in my forms anymore.
Okay, you mean on Blur practically.
Exactly, on blur, on change, depending on the input type. Actually, the drop downs, of course, as well. The nastiest input type for on change and autosave really are date inputs. I use these HTML5 native date inputs, and they required me about 30 lines of JavaScript to really get them do what I want them to do.
Don't respond to a regular change event.
They do, but if I type date using the keyboard, for example, on each keyboard stroke, it submits.
Oh,
So
that's
like
silly.
now it submits, now it submits, now it submits, now it submits, now it submits. Yeah.
Okay.
So they were really nasty to get them working. And yeah, and when pressing enter, the form double submitted because standard way of Formantic UI is to submit on enter press, and somehow but only in these date inputs I had the trouble. But luckily, there's a setting in Formantic UI to stop enter key from submitting the data.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's for all data types, I have tours, groups that book the tours, single guests, guides that guide. There's also, you might like this one. I don't think it comes out nicely in demo data. It's like for creating coupons, generating an automated PDF, but in my data, it's not nice. And my demo data, it won't get to a nice coupon in the end or a nice voucher. So
what
I
are
actually
you using for PDF generation?
TC PDF library.
Okay.
Though I have to admit it's a bit of a pain because what I actually was looking for is like you input an HTML template and you get a nice PDF out with, of course, CSS styling, with, of course, print related stuff like CSS positioning in millimeters and so on. But I didn't really get it to work nicely. So it's a kind of mix of built-in TC PDF functions and some HTML and styling. In the end, some nice stuff comes out, but it's a lot of custom work. So, of course, thinking in the future, the idea would be to for all my customers to be able to edit these templates themselves. But the way it's implemented at the moment with TC PDF, it's just not sensibly makeable. Yeah, so I do work a lot with models, as you can see in the whole calendar.
That thing on the right, I mean, the whole page is quite interesting because you have form on the left, which has the general things.
Yeah.
How do you manage grouping? Do you do it on a page level, or is there a universal way?
No, it's completely on the UI level. It's a custom form layout.
Okay. And then on the right, you have, so these would be some related entities, like, you're able to add emails for multiple emails for this record.
Exactly. It's, as I said, my software is about working quickly. So I have some predefined email templates for stuff that is often sent to customers. So when clicking on one of these buttons, you get my email form where you can enter subject, the body of the email, where you can add or remove attachments, and where you can also add or remove other people. Also, you should be able to type in.
This is a really nice component where you can. So you have this autocomplete, but you can add. Yeah, and you can add new ones as well, right?
Yes, I just did.
Oh, okay. So it creates a record in a related table.
Exactly. This is this.
Okay.
Actually, the implementation of this is not too good yet. It will be rewritten, but
yeah, I actually wanted to touch a little bit on this. And I guess the question is now, what happens when you add a new record? Okay, so would you be able to add related records before you save? Because that's always have been a problem. In order to add a related record, you need the ID for the master.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been working on this problem for a while, and recently I have discovered a really good solution.
Okay,
and
nice.
The idea is that whenever you're working with the master record, so I use it in the wizard. So there's a multi-step wizard, and I store in a persistence, which is a session persistence. Right. So, for example, I start filling something on the first step, and then I add related entities. It's also stored in persistence. Array persistences in ATK data are now possible to have references and conditions, so that you can have all of this nicely saved inside session or an array. Very nice. And but the second thing is when user clicks the save button at the end of editing, you can duplicate all these records and their relations from array persistence into your SQL. And this happens like really easily. So you just do deep copy and you copy all the records and the related records from array into SQL. Works very nice. Also helps if, for example, you come here and you delete some of the related entities, and then you cancel. You don't want to save the form. Well, your form saves automatically, so you're not going to have this problem.
Yeah.
But if you need a confirmation, and you remove some of the related records, and then you close the form, possibly something can be made through that as well. So that's deep copy. I only tested it for a new record. For existing records, there might be something like updating. I haven't thought about that far, but maybe something worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely. I read your example. You had the invoice with lines as example for what you're talking about. Saving related record data, though you don't have the ID of the parent record, so to say. That was a good example. And you're totally right. In my software, I don't have that problem because I autosave. But yeah, I really like a lot of stuff you do in ATK data. I get much better into ATK data than I do in ATK UI regarding the thinking. Yeah.
Oh yes, one other note. You see that below there you have this history. So that's audit, right?
Yeah, but it's not ATK audit. It's a custom-made one.
Yes. I just wanted to mention that there were 2 pull requests. One of them was in. Let me see. Actually, I'll switch my screen. Present to you guys, and I just wanted to do that. So these are pull requests inside audit log.
Yep.
Which was accepted, and it was released recently. So audit log now also implements views. Before it was just extension for ATK data, but now it also has this view where you could have history shown like this.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
that's one thing.
I use it.
Are you using it?
Yes. I have a problem with the null values because it's unformatting and I make some changes, but
okay,
it's clearly really good.
Yeah, if we just recently added it, but I actually don't use it in any projects at all. But if you can improve anything about it, that would be very nice. So that was one change, and the other change was in master CRUD. Again, there was a pull request, and it is an implementation of the card. Right. Okay. So if you guys remember MasterCard, whenever you work with it, you click on the item, it just shows you the form. Now it shows you the card, which card is a view in ATK UI, so like that. But it also has a ability to use a custom view. So in theory, you can combine both add-ons, saying, okay, I don't want the card, but I also want the card and the history. So you show both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good to know. Regarding audit, the main reason why I started implementing my own audit was because I had trouble with M2M relations. How are they?
The camera.
Yeah, it's locked on you again. Camera likes you.
Sorry, okay. What you were saying about relations?
Yeah, regarding M2M relations, that was actually the main reason why I started my own audit implementation, because record A related to record B via an M2M relation. Let's say the grouping, the relation model is called A to B or whatever. So in audit, it was hard for me to show. It's a bad example. Let me see if I can.
Yes, there are some glitch on M2M and gives error on data. if there is a date in the changes. I don't remember other things, but labels and other things of M2M and 1-to-M output the ID and not the label. And the other problem is that there you don't have the relation direct in the render row. And I try to make some things, but I am very busy in these days, and I live like this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, I have another project which also is mostly about M2M. So this is a group. It has one or many tours. A tour has one or many groups. So my current M2M implementation here is like autocomplete. You add an M2M relation, you delete an M2M relation, and of course here in the audits, it's nicely added in my custom audit. And I had some trouble using the ATK audit to kind of display this data easily, as it's stored in the M2M model, neither in the group model nor in the tour model, but in my case, it's called group to tour model, which links the M2M relations.
Could you create a pull request with some fixes for the standard audit log to make it work like yours?
I'll have to look into the ATK audit because I really didn't do a lot with it. And
it might be more harder because I guess it's on generic level you have just a model and you have some data inside, and you have has one and has many, but really we need it's too bad Darkside is not here, because we discussed with him about many-to-many relation, native support for many-to-many relations. Maybe I have an article for that in ATK data. But there was some discussion about this. And the idea is that whenever you save the model, for example, let's say you have list of countries or list of phones, and you use it as a comma separate. Actually, it comes as an array. But if you save it, it doesn't overwrite the many-to-many relations, and instead it just updates. It removes the ones which are not needed and adds the ones which are needed. I'll try to locate that page.
Yeah. So as far as I understood you now, for an M2M relation, you don't have an extra table where all these mappings are stored, but you store it directly in the model record. Right?
Yes, the same I do, but I had some problem with the values. You understand probably what I want to mean. I mean, if you save the values and try to get the values, you have some problem to work with, and.
But the value can be an array, right?
Yes.
So my idea of many-to-many relationship is that it's technically a field which so when you load the record, it materializes as an array, and you can present and work with it in some way. But whenever you save, it will store the data in the related table. And technically, you can decide if you want to encode it with JSON, or if you want to actually store it as in an intermediate table. But this is a persistence detail, so you don't.
But I think I think the problem is not in the data. The problem is representing it in the UI. This is the some glitches and drop down and in lookup. If you have if you don't leaving the M2M, I speak even with the model too many, and there is some problem with the labels, and this and many times you have you have in many projects you have some state. I mean, done, draft, to do, and that you don't put in a table. You have like a constant in the model, and probably is there the problem. Probably it's much better to have one more table and working much linear with all the data in tables.
Are you saying now storing the data in the field?
No, I speak about the one too many, and clearly in my meaning of the last words was one too many, not many too many.
Okay, I guess it's difficult for me to visualize.
Yes,
Yeah,
I understand.
I also have that trouble at the moment, but I think I think I understand what you mean. It's yeah.
Well, I guess the question is now if we do have an official way for many-to-many in the toolkit, then various components can rely on that, such as audit log and such as like the one you have, and visualize it correctly and universally.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice to have a native M2M handling in ATK data. Definitely would be great. I posted a proposal 7 days ago or so in ATK data issues. Don't know if anyone has read it.
Which? How can I find it?
It's an issue in ATK data. Should be.
I see. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just more or less the way I work with it. I just thought about how it would be nice to code it like yeah. I don't know. It was just some ideas I had because I work so much with M2M relationships. But yeah. I also have to add, Romans, I started coding like 16 months ago, though I bit of studied it like 10 years ago. So I think all of you have 20 years or more in experience. So yeah.
No, very good. We value that there are people with a little coding experience, and we want to make sure we can. By the way, Imans is here. Hi, welcome, Imans.
Yeah, hello guys.
Thanks for deciding to show up. Because we were always talking about you, saying Imans said that, Imans did this, but not here. What do you think about many-to-many, Imans?
Well, it's quite a tricky case actually. Yeah. It depends how you want to implement it. Most of the time, I try to somehow move it to many to one or one to many relationship by using some joins or something like that.
Yeah, but listen, didn't we have some sort of discussion about many-to-many relationships maybe months ago or so? We did a couple of pull requests into ATK data, and we definitely discussed that.
Yeah, something was there. Yeah, I don't remember now.
But yeah, I guess let's start by looking at the proposal from Philip. It's good that he posted that issue there, and maybe we can arrive at something because even for our own ideas, like in SAST, we have audit log. I was showing your audit log view for the changes. But we will need to have some sort of tracking for related entities. So if you have something like many-to-many relationship, and maybe a good widget to work with that relationship, then there needs to be an underlying standard in ATK data how to work with that. So yes, that's many to many. Anyone that has anything else to add to that?
No.
Francesco, do you want to show us what you're up to?
Oh, I can. Wait.
No pressure. If you want.
No. I try to find where is the. Oh, where is the presentation? Sta presentando altre opzioni. Padapam, 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 padapam. Presenta ora. I found. To schermo. I fear is. Oh no. The entire screen not. Oh. I have two video here, and I try to see one. Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. Share this. Okay. I was very big, I know. Okay. You see?
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Cool background.
Is for one of my clients. It's an engineer and wants something much more. Oh yeah, huh? It was done with the really Harry, and is certification courses about this society that something like a school with. Where many society go with the people that working in the society and make these courses, get a certification. That certification must be paid. Every course is divided in lesson. Every lesson is still not implemented, but at the presence or absence of the respective student. And at the end will be output a PDF only if the course is finished and the payment is done by the student or society. I mean, this is the dashboard. I'm waiting for my client to say something about it. This is as simple with a filter I've done today. This and or little normal this. I have here a multiple selector of some sort. I mean the status, sector, a predefined teacher for every lesson, a predefined classroom for every lesson, a certification, a final certification to give at the end. On the lesson, we have, if we added a new lesson, we will get the default teacher, default classroom, can write a title, subtitle, description, a day, an hour, and the duration in hour about this lesson. Students, this is connected with the society and the course. And we have here the break. I put this for the null, and I must start to translate even the labels. I added the user because I don't get it, because probably I implemented it wrong. And
why is the labels there? Why not captions of the field?
I don't know. I don't know. Because this is many to many, and I see that if you get a field from a relation many to many, even if you added in the end model, you don't get the field characteristic of the source model, and I think is intended to be like this, or like before I make something wrong. This is let's wait. Waiting payment. This is
That's
PDF.
a conditional columns you had there, right?
Where?
The conditional
Oh, yes,
columns.
yes. But
No, the one which download receipt, because it's visible only for certain columns.
Yes. But I do it in template. With template and checking, because I need to check if the receipt is done, and if the payment is done, and if the curse is finished.
Okay.
Probably I can skip one of these, but now with Dairy, I decide to do it like this. I output this. Is like we speak with Philip last week. This is not the one I lose a day to define. Is a resume of all the characteristic of the curse, and at the end there is a payment state with the sign of the school and the one who give the money.
Okay. What do you use for PDF?
HTML to PDF is really good, and I have done even this, and now it will show. This is a background on the back, but all these probably I do it the same way as FPDF, but with the definition of style in millimeters on every element of HTML. Here there is a little bit of messy, because client wanted to delete this and uniform the background, and will show every line of this in this corner to replace this in the background. And I think about historic of the curse is all about this. We have here language, but it's nonsense. Title is the creation of the every certificate is an upload here, and here there is the left bottom corner I showed before. I think. This is the component that I speak today in chat. I mean, it's a component like lenses of Nova that you can add the model in, and it will show a pop-up that put records, and for every model you can set a URL to edit it directly in the URL you want. But the problem is not doing it. The problem is where to put this, or where to propose to put it, or there is something already done like this. Because I have, every time I think about, or I have to do something, I think about, but probably is already done this, and I try to search everywhere, and I don't find nothing. I think it's more.
No, I don't think we have this. And the best place to do it would be a separate repository.
Yes.
So you have your repository, but it has lots of stuff in it. it's important that any add-on you create would work with generic objects. Yes, so not only your specific object and your modifications, but anyone's else. Yeah. So for example, Philip could simply add it to his project, and he would have like 1, 2, 3 checklist. First, put compose require. 2, add this to the view, and 3, specify the model, and it's done. So that's the type of you as an example, you can look at how add-ons like Mastercard or login on and all of this. So initially, when I have created them, they were very simple, and then over time they become a little bit more complex. Imans, do we have any views in the add-ons, like separate add-on with only a view?
With only a view, maybe autocomplete was some time ago like this, but currently it's in ATK UI.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think we have any, but it would be nice to have something, and then we can use it as example, maybe.
But why not implement this in ATK UI?
No, there's a question of process, right? Because you have some person, not necessarily Francesco, but it could be anyone, and he wishes to add something to Agile Toolkit. So it's not always going to be put into the core. Sometimes it's not needed in the core. So we just have to define some sort of a process saying, okay, this is, guys, what you do. So you create new repository, or maybe we give one repository to fork, yeah, like fork something like a hello world component, and then.
No, sorry if I interrupt, but I think can be suffice. I mean, even a list. Everyone can have a repository or something, and we will have a repository or a page where there will be a list of you see this component is created here, this component is created here, because sometimes you arrive at the point and say, okay, this is already created. Okay, I already created 2, and I use mine.
Okay, I found the component I was thinking. It was charts. Right? Yeah. So if you go to ATK UI on GitHub, it has a section with add-ons and integrations. And in here, click on the charts. It is quite simple. If you look at the code, it has demo, have source. So if you could just model it like this, that would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. No, are ready to be used. Yes.
Yeah, charts are working fine. And it's not very complicated, so you have a couple of views in here, and it works with generic data, so you can use it with any model. If you can create something just like that, and I will, if I see something, I will help you, right? I'll make sure it with advice or guidance, but and obviously if it's good quality, and we'll look at that, and we maybe on one of the meeting we say, okay, so many people are using this add-on, it has to be inside the core, then we can move. But that's not our goal to put everything in the core. It's good to have those working add-ons. It's I think it's nice.
Yes, for that I asked today because I created the integration of PHP spreadsheet for export data and work with formats that able with PHP spreadsheet. But there is so much dependency there, and you have a bunch of library plus in data that is really slim. because I added probably only PHP spreadsheet, but PHP spreadsheet add many, even for
Yes.
dev that now
Yeah.
installed by default.
But as an add-on, it's perfect, right? So
Yes.
great, yeah. Okay. All right. So, do you guys to discuss anything else, or should we finish?
I
Imans,
had something in mind before we started, but I forgot.
Imans, do you want to demonstrate anything? Do you want to demonstrate software books?
Better not. Not at this point. Yeah.
No, it's a really good product. So it's
It's
well,
a legacy product.
I can show you a little bit of it maybe myself.
Yeah. Better you, because I have bad connection also.
Am I presenting now? Can you see screen?
Yep.
All right, so I'll give you the user demonstration, so what user sees, and this is one of my old clients, and they initial software was developed in 2008, I believe, or something, and now it is a legacy software, and they use some third-party developers, and later on they came back to me, and I introduced Timans to them. So this is accountants software, accounting. That first page was WordPress.
It's just a landing page.
And so first of all, there is this big concept of systems. So when I log in, I have access to multiple different companies. So these are mostly test companies, but I can switch and all the data refresh, and I see new data.
But these are these charts, ATK charts.
And the another point about the system is, as I go through the pages, select something, it never refreshes anything. It just loads additional stuff below. Even if you help this external, okay. Like some of them would pop-ups in here. This is using a very old version of jQuery UI and jQuery. But when the client came to us, he said he wants to improve many parts of this application, but obviously because it's a legacy, there's so many things which you cannot just delete. Just have to be gradually replaced. So as Imans noted, the dashboards are new. So this stuff over here, it's actually that charts were used here.
Yeah.
And this is a ATK UI here. Another screen where they have it, I think, over in here. So under tabs. So there's a little, or this is more of old. So that's not really new.
It's partly new. This is old, but guess
some of them are new. And I guess this was a challenge in a way, because we had to use ATK UI, but only to render certain views, and it also had to match the capabilities of the application to work without refreshing.
Yeah. jQuery quite often conflicts with older versions. And
Does it?
Statement import was new, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, this is more.
Upload the file. Right. Okay. So The other thing to note here is that the data which is displayed on the reports, on some of the reports at least, is maybe like ledger reports. It's powered by Agile data, and in a way, how it's generated is very complicated. So we used a lot of aggregation, and it's like select join with lot of joins, which is then union against another select, union against another select. The whole thing is grouped. Some conditions are added, and this is how reports are done. The legacy reports are written in stored procedures, but that was very slow. The new reports are much faster. And so yes, the backbone of the system is being rewritten into ATK data, while the interface will remain the same probably. So that's it. That's all I can show now.
I saw you did implement an API for other software to sort my books. Is this a standard ATK part, or is it a custom API you wrote? Because I'm about to do this as well soon. For some other project of mine, a small project, I need a small API, a simple one. But of course, if there's existing stuff, I'd like to use it.
Imans, do you want to? Yeah, take that. So what do you use?
What you mean by API? You want to link with some other softwares like Dropbox and stuff like that, or implement REST API in your project? If it's REST API in your project, then we have ATK API. Yeah, this one. This is quite simple and actually working REST API, which works nicely with Toolkit Agile.
Yeah, but this is to access an API, or does it provide an API other software can access?
This is for other software to access your.
Excellent. That's what I need. Then I'll have a look into that.
Yeah, this works quite nicely, and of course, if you find some bugs, of course.
Yeah, but then I'll start with this. Definitely.
Yeah, take a look at this. So before I built this, I started looking for the API implementation, so what the other people use as an API. And I found that there is this project called Zend Deactors. So they have really weird name. And it implements PSR7 like messaging, blah, 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 whatever. But essentially it gives you, so whenever it sends you a request, you get interface to interact with it. And ATK API is simply using that and builds on top of that. So it's actually quite small library. You just have one class, 500 lines. But because it uses this Zend, I have request response, and this is how I can send something back.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing in here is integration between that and ATK. I match against different URLs, so it has a built-in routing and also some logic, and you define callbacks. It is kind of similar. What was it? PHP API. There was I don't remember now, but there was a project again, so where which was working in the same way, where you define callbacks for different routes. So yeah, you just define get pattern and then whatever like the argument in here, a callable, which which is a method. But then we introduce a thing called REST. Yeah, so that's it's not a single method. Instead, it matches multiple methods like read, modify, and delete. So you can specify, and as an argument, you pass a model. So you're saying that anyone who accesses this endpoint is able to manipulate with the model. Okay, and then technically, on top of that, you can define something more. I'm not sure if Siemens does that. This is how you use, right? So you say countries, and then you can either use a model over here or a callback. If you do callback, then you have to return the model, right? So it puts limit for how many countries will be output if user just reads it. You can add condition. This way, user is unable to access something you don't want. This is it in a very simple form. So you just create the model, pass it in there. Things like authentication and rate limits, I had idea to implement them, but actually there are some standards. So if you look at the PSR and the way how these things work, I think they can work as a plugins. So you just find a good rate limiting for API in the PHP community. And it should technically work with this because we use PSR7, they use PSR7. So you could kind of stack them against each other.
Okay, good to know. Then I'll start there.
Yeah, but this is really simple. I was surprised myself what you can do with this. Here are some ideas. These are not implemented, and error outputting.
There was something about searching, which.
Yeah, my other idea was again, this might not be in for this repository, but something in general, something we were looking for to implement maybe in SAST is ability not only to request a model using 4 basic calls like get, put, patch, and ID based, but based on name. So for example, you have a list of clients and client has unique name. You should be able to send a post request without the ID. So that's the idea. So you just put it with a name, and if the client with the same name exists, it will be updated. Did we ever implement that, Imans?
I think we didn't finish, but can you check issues? I think we wrote it down.
So something like this. And the other idea was about defining multiple IDs. So you define a complicated. So for example, you want to see an order of a specific client. So here you have ID of the client, and then you specify order of that client. So the URL would be looking like that. And again, I'm not sure if that was implemented or not. Well, maybe it's implemented in the pull request. No.
No. Check issues. I think we all open issues.
Who is this guy? Oh yeah, I remember him. Yeah, so there are still things to work on. It's a quite early stage, this library, but it's the best thing we have integrating between. And I don't see any other way how to implement it. It's either you use this or you have to write the same thing yourself.
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Yeah, so if you want to have some suggestions how to improve, obviously this is very early stage. We don't have to respect big community, so we can break things a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, I'll just start and see where I end up if I have some open questions and stuff that I would like to do that can't be done at the moment. Yeah, though the API I need is really, really, really simple. It's
Yeah.
for a small side project I have, which my other project should communicate to, and yeah. So luckily, a very, very simple API. I can show you the project if you like.
Okay, yeah, let me just finish here about transformation.
Yes, of course.
The idea was that through some sort of a protocol, so we were looking into developing SDK, so something developers can download and use it as a PHP library, and it would be communicating with the API. And transformation allows you to add things like criteria or maybe traversal. So you say, I want to take all the invoices, and then I want to add some condition, and from that I want to see the client and maybe group by something. So this would be transformation based on ATK data, which should be safe, but it gives you a lot of flexibility in the client to request information that you want. Obviously, haven't finished that, but it's a quite interesting concept in general. I know something similar are used by Xero. You know, Xero is a big accounting company, online software. That's the biggest online software. And they have a pretty interesting PHP. I'm not sure which of those. Yeah, but you can do something like this. You could say, I want to take invoices, define conditions, and then you execute. So that's will load information from the REST client. Yeah, so it is quite similar to. I mean, I think we can have something similar in ATK API as well. So yeah, go ahead and show your project.
Oh yeah, wait, I need to share my screen. Oh, yeah. Oh, damn it, I plugged in the second monitor. Let me check. Oh, I kind of messed it up by plugging my second monitor, and now he doesn't know how to share. What do you see now?
We see both.
Both. Interesting, because I unplugged the second one. So it doesn't really... sorry, that doesn't make sense with both. I can just share a window. Now let's just share a Google Chrome window. Okay, now you should see my Google Chrome window, do you?
Yeah, calendar.
Yeah, exactly. It's a simple calendar. There was a request also by the outdoor community to have a calendar software with limitations. And so, for example, per start time, you can only, for a certain time, you can only add like 2 events, not more. And yeah, it's actually a pretty basic, simple calendar. You can, of course, switch, go per week, and also my date pickers I love so much. And yeah, you click, you just enter.
This is really cool.
It's very, very simple. I'm using the toast, as you see. I really like the toasts. Yeah, it's really, really very simple compared to my other software. It's just...
I would love add-on for this.
For what?
Add-on for this? I would love it.
You mean that calendar?
Yeah, if that would be an add-on, would be amazing.
Okay. Yeah.
So, if it can work with any model, you just specify which field to use as a date, and it will be. I will just put all the records on a calendar, and allow you to add a new one.
I totally get what you mean. That would be a cool idea. Unfortunately, I didn't work with a ATK UI table because I was stuck at some place, and so I just created my own table view.
Yeah, but have to be.
Yeah, but if it's implemented as ATK, if you know, there's already a implementation of table in ATK UI, why not use it? I was just
No, it's not good fit. You can use table. So if you use semantic UI table, that's perfectly
yeah,
fine.
that is a
But
table.
but I don't think you need to. You have to be forced to use ATK UI table.
Yeah,
So you could. It might be a lister, but to be honest, it could be just a view, right? So if you, in many cases, what we're doing is integration with Vue.js, and rendering is done, custom rendering. Gives us many more options, and as long as you can fit it inside ATK UI, why not?
okay, yeah. And of course, the main thing about this calendar is there's some rules defined, like I can only you see, it's not like a usual calendar. It's not an event stretching for 1, 2, or 3 hours, but it's only for half an hour
Yeah.
slots. And of course, the thing that I was looking for, I didn't find any other calendar or defined rules. Like I can't add a second one here as same user. It's German now. It says you already have an event at that start time. You can't enter another one.
Wouldn't that be validation inside the model?
Yeah, exactly. That's the model validation.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, though it's a bit differently, because now that's just for one location we have, and it might be that this software will be used for more than one location. So it's a bit more complicated. But yes, the error message comes from ATK data, of course, where it should come from.
Do you like it, Timmons?
Yeah. I just didn't understand that date field on the top.
It's for selecting, for jumping to a date. Like, let's say you want to go to August 2020. You can just, and you don't want to use your keyboard, you can just select a new date. And now it's showing you this week of August 2020.
Oh.
And of course, jump per week. And and some other stuff, like list all my dates, my events I have in that calendar. And then for the admin, like the month picker of the HTML5 month picker sucks. So I took the date picker, like monthly summary, which you can export as PDF, which is nice as admin. But that's one thing that might be interesting for you. I thought about a nice mobile solution. Usually, I think what the common approach would be, like on mobile screen, you can only display one date, one day, and not 7. So only one day instead of 7. So you'd basically, maybe you just hide six of them using CSS, but that would be like 75% of the HTML is transmitted but not displayed, and I didn't like that. So what this one does, I don't know what happens when do you still see the screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So when logging in, there's a hidden input which is filled with the device width of the client. And so the server knows the device width of the client, and now it's really only sending this HTML you see, and the other days aren't just hidden, but they are not, they don't exist in the HTML. Like this, the mobile version should be always fast, because I transmit only 20% the data that would be submitted when displaying a whole week.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if this approach is common. I was just my idea, and I started using it, and so far it works fine.
I would do a refresh on screen resize, and if it just jumps. But to be honest, no, I'm not very good with detecting devices and doing stuff with that.
Yeah, well, it's an awfully simple solution, and so far it works well. Actually, I think I have it. Yeah. On each form use, it redetects the device width, even, as you can see.
Yeah.
But switches to mobile, just display one date. So just to save bandwidth, if you really have bad mobile connection, that only the data really needed is transmitted.
Cool.
Yeah, never heard about this approach, but it seems sensible to me, so I just did it.
This looks
That's-
like a really good calendar. I mean, on its own,
Yeah.
and I even think that this could be. So if we advertise it in our SAST platform, there will be people who would be willing to pay money for this.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look where this calendar is going, but yeah, it's there shouldn't be anything stopping me from sharing the code. It's the code is way better than the code in my other project because I just started this one a month ago with way more knowledge than when I started the old one, and there's still stuff to be done. And but I'll have a look how to kind of do it as ATK add-on. I have a lot of work at the moment. That's the problem. So I would also like to do more pull requests, not just submit issues, but also post a solution for it. I'm just a bit, I don't know where to start because I have so much stuff I want to do.
Create new repository and add a view in there. As I said, use the charts as an example.
Yeah, exactly.
Make a screenshot of this. This is amazing, and because if it's a separate repository, all of us will be able to try it.
Public repository, exactly.
Doesn't matter. And then we will start contributing to it. Yeah, so maybe I integrate. It doesn't work for me. I fix it for myself. I contribute it back. So.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming, sharing. Let's meet up again next week. Let's keep this going. I'll have some other items to discuss and maybe some more updates.
Okay.
We might look a little bit more into the front end part. So, okay.
Good. It was a nice one. Thank you.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Ciao.